theorem. If the sequence Sn, if the sequence Sn converges, then every subsequence converges to the same limit. This theorem says that if Sn is any sequence which converges, then every subsequence of this sequence converges to the same limit of the where the sequence is converging. Proof. Let Sn be a convergent sequence and converges to S, that is limit of Sn is equal to S, that is for each epsilon greater than 0 there exists capital N such that small n greater than capital N implies modulus of Sn minus S is less than epsilon. Equation number 1. Just I took a sequence which is convergence. Since it is convergence, it converges to some limit, that is limit of Sn is equal to S. Then I wrote the definition of limit of a sequence. Now let us consider any subsequence of the given sequence. Let Sn k be a subsequence of the sequence Sn, Note that already we have discussed the definition of a subsequence and later on we have discussed the example. There we have learned that nk, any term of the sequence, will be equal to the term of the sequence or the greater for all k. Equation number 2 means the first term of the sequence may be the first term of the subsequence may be the first term of the sequence, or maybe the second or third term or fourth term. So here I can say that n1 will be either first term or the latter term. If it is the latter term, then it will be greater than 1. If it is the same term, it will be equal to 1. Similarly, n2 will be the second term of this one, but it will be a maybe second one or maybe latter. So n2 is greater than or equal to 2, so on. Now for k greater than n implies k greater than n, nk is greater than or equal to k and k is greater than n. This implies nk is greater than n by equation number 2. Now what equation number 1 says? If any n greater than capital N implies modulus of Sn minus S is less than epsilon. This one is greater than n, so what you will get? Which implies modulus of Snk minus S is less than epsilon by equation number 1. That is the definition of a limit. Therefore, limit k tends to infinity, Snk is equal to S. This is the proof of the theorem. Every sequence Sn has a monotone subsequence. The statement says that every sequence has a monotone subsequence, means every sequence has either increasing subsequence or decreasing. At least you will get one subsequence which is a monotone subsequence. Proof: let Sn be a sequence such that nth term is dominant. What it means? The nth term of the sequence is dominant, that is nth term is greater than all the terms for all m greater than n. Equation number 1 means after n, if I take any term, all the terms are less than the nth term, then this term is said to be a dominant. Means after n, if I take any term, all the terms should be strictly less than the nth term. Then nth term is said to be a dominant term. Now case 1. Suppose that there are infinitely many dominant terms. Suppose there are infinitely many dominant terms. For example, let us take, this is a subsequence S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, so on. Clearly this sequence has, this is the dominant term, this term is greater than all the terms which are coming later. This is also a dominant term, all the terms after S4 are lesser than this. This is also dominating term, this is also dominating term, this is also dominating term, so on. Therefore, this example has infinite number of dominating terms. So, let Snk be any subsequence consisting of dominant terms. What I am going to do, whatever the dominating terms I got infinite number of, I am taking all that one as a subsequence. Clearly it is visible that these terms are decreasing. Since the subsequence contain the dominating terms, then Snk plus 1th term, which is latter term of Snk. Since this is the dominating term, then this will be greater than this one for all k by equation number 1. Therefore, Snk is a decreasing subsequence. Therefore, Snk is a monotonic subsequence of Sn. Monotonic subsequence of Sn. Case 2. Suppose that in the case 1 we have considered there are infinitely many dominating terms. If possible, suppose that there are only finite number of dominating terms. Suppose that there are only finitely many dominant terms. Means in the sequence there are only finite number of terms which are dominating. Means there are only finite number of only few terms such that after the terms all are less than. Only there are few terms. So let us select n1 so that Sn1, so that yes n1 is beyond all the dominant terms, all the dominant terms of the sequence. What it means? Suppose that there are only finitely many dominant terms, only finitely many dominating terms. Select n1 so that that term of the subsequence is beyond all the dominant terms, whatever the finite number of dominating terms we got. Yes, n1 is beyond all the dominant terms. Then for capital N greater than or equal to n1, there exists m greater than capital N such that Sm is greater than or equal to Sn. Equation number, let us take equation number 2. What it means? Since Sn1 is beyond the dominating terms, then Sn1 is not a dominant terms. Means if I take any capital N which is greater than or equal to n1, greater than or equal to n1, then there exists a term after capital M, that term will be greater than or equal to Sn, because Sn1 is not a dominant term. If this is a dominant term, then all the terms should be less than Sn1. Since Sn1 is not a dominant term, means after Sn1 definitely I will get terms which is greater than or equal to Sn. Now let us take capital N is equal to, I can take capital N as equal to n1 or greater than. First I am taking capital N as n1. Similarly we select n2 which is greater than n1 such that in place of m I have selected n2, in place of capital N I have selected n1 such that Sn2 is greater than or equal to Sn1. This one I wrote by equation number 2. Just I took capital N as n1 and small m as n2. Now I am using the principle of mathematical induction. Now suppose that n1, n2 so on till nk minus 1. Now in the next case similarly I can take capital N as n2 and m as n3, then so on. Suppose that have been selected, so that n1 is less than n2 is less than so on, less than nk minus 1, and what you will get? Sn1 is less than or equal to Sn2 is less than or equal to so on, less than or equal to Snk minus 1. Equation number, let us take this one as equation number 3, this one as equation number 4. Now similarly I am going for the next term, kth term. Now let capital N I am going to take as small n k minus 1. We select the next term after this one, that is nk is greater than nk minus 1. So what you will get by equation number 2 such that Snk is greater than or equal to Snk minus 1 by equation number 2. Thus equation 3 and 4 holds for k. For k, equation number 3 says that Sn1 is less than or equal to Sn2, Sn2 is less than or equal to so on, less than or equal to Snk minus 1, and Snk minus 1 is less than or equal to this one. Continuing this procedure, by induction, that is principle of mathematical induction, we get an increasing subsequence S and K. Therefore, S and K is monotonic subsequence of the sequence Sn, of the sequence Sn. Next theorem, Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem. Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem. Every bounded sequence has a convergent subsequence. If any sequence is bounded, then definitely that sequence has a convergent subsequence. Proof. Let us take any sequence which is bounded. Let Sn is a bounded sequence. Just now we have proved that in the above theorem, every sequence has a convergent subsequence. By the previous theorem, we have, what is the previous theorem says? Every sequence has monotone subsequence. If every sequence has monotone subsequence, then this sequence also has a monotone subsequence. Therefore, the sequence Sn has monotone subsequence. Since given that the sequence Sn is bounded, is a bounded sequence, if a sequence is bounded, then every subsequence of that sequence is also bounded. The definition of a bounded says that a sequence is bounded if all the terms lies between two bonds. One is lower bound, one is upper bound. So what is a subsequence? A subsequence is nothing but the terms of a sequence, which is again a sequence. If a sequence is bounded, means all the terms lying between two bonds. If I take a subsequence, terms of subsequence are nothing but terms of a sequence. Already they are lying between two bonds. Those two bonds also behaves like an bonds here for the subsequence. Therefore, since Sn is a bounded sequence, then every subsequence of Sn is also bounded. Therefore, every bounded sequence has a bounded monotone subsequence. If a sequence is bounded, then its subsequence is also bounded. Every sequence has monotone subsequence. Therefore, every bounded sequence has bounded monotone sequence. By a known theorem already we have proved, we have that every bounded monotone sequence is convergent. That is, every bounded monotone sequence is convergent. Then this bounded monotone subsequence is also convergent. Therefore, every bounded sequence has a convergent subsequence. This is the proof of the theorem. Now, a definition. Let Sn be a sequence in R. Let Sn be a sequence in R. A subsequential limit is any real number or plus infinity or minus infinity, that is the limit of some subsequence of the sequence Sn. A subsequential limit is nothing but the limit of a subsequence of a sequence. Let Sn be any sequence and Snk be any subsequence. Then limit of that subsequence is said to be a subsequential limit of that subsequence. Maybe that limit will be a real number or plus infinity or minus infinity. Note, just now we have learned that if a sequence Sn is convergent, then every subsequent converges to the same limit. Means all the subsequences of a sequence which is convergent, those subsequence also converges to the same limit. Means a sequence, if a sequence is convergent, then all the subsequence converges to the only one limit. If a sequence has a limit, yes, if a sequence has a limit, yes, then already we know that then all subsequences have the limit, yes, have the limit, yes. So the set of subsequential limits is, means whatever the subsequences I got a sequence, I am writing all the limits of a subsequence. Since all the subsequences have the same limit, then the set containing only one element, that is S. If a sequence has a limit S, then the set of all subsequential limits is the singleton set S. Let us take an example. Sn is equal to n square into minus 1 to the power of n. The subsequence of even terms, already we have discussed this example, is 4, 16, 36, 64, so on. Clearly which is diverges to plus infinity. Which diverges to plus infinity. The subsequence of odd term is minus 1, minus 9, minus 25, so on. Clearly this one is diverging to minus infinity. Minus infinity. If I take any other subsequence, it will be either diverges to plus infinity or minus infinity. Therefore, all subsequences that have a limit either diverges to plus infinity or minus infinity. Therefore, the set of subsequential limit of the sequence Sn is, you will get only two answers, that is minus infinity and the second one is plus infinity. This is the answer for this example. Let us take another example for our understanding. Let us take Next example, let us take Sn is equal to n into 1 plus minus 1 to the power of n for n belongs to set of all natural number. Then what are the terms of a sequence? If I take n is equal to 1 for all odd terms, n minus 1 to the power of odd is minus 1. Minus 1 plus 1 becomes 0. 0 into anything, 0 for odd terms. 0. For even terms, this will be 2. 2 into 2, 4. 0, 8, 0, 12, 0, 16, so on. Now, then if I take a subsequence of odd terms, is what is the subsequence? Odd terms, first term, third, fifth, seventh, 0 comma 0 comma so on. Clearly all the terms are same which converges to 0, and the subsequence of even terms is 4, 8, 12, 16, so on. Clearly this one is diverging to, which diverges to plus infinity. If I take any other sequence, either it will converges to 0 or diverges to plus infinity. No third answer we will get. Therefore, the set of subsequential limits of the sequence Sn is equal to 0 comma plus infinity. This is the answer.